Here's what I have of the Joker so far. I didn't get much time so far today, at least, to work on it, but I did manage to make the hilts for these two brass knuckle knives or trench knives, and at one point I was conflicted between. At first I was going to give this one, do just pokey and give it an intricate holder. But then I got concerned about these straps that are directly connected to the pants. These straps that connect the belt to the pants. Maybe it would look weird if the holder overlapped into them. But then Dad gave me the idea. Of showing the blade. And then maybe I could put blood on the blade. But if I just show the blade, it'll look like it's just being kept in place by the belt. Rather than by a holder or holster of some sort. In the end, I decided to compromise. This is the intended holder or holster. Essentially a strip of a strip of leather or fake leather with some kind of strap that buttons to keep the blade in place. And I'll be putting some blood on the blades. I decided at one point in the morning, right before Dad and I left for his house, to call the brass knuckle knives pokey and sticky. Since poke and stick can both mean to stab. I figured putting a Y at the end of both of those words would be demented enough for the Joker. I was up last night partially because of making yesterday's my dinner video, which I haven't uploaded to YouTube yet. I think we left for Dad's house his new house sometime between 9 in the morning and 11 in the morning. Maybe it was closer to 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning, but I think Dad first made a trip to his bank to withdraw some money so that he could buy some supplies at Home Depot. If I remember correctly, at that point I had had some coffee while getting some work in on the Joker. In fact, the state I showed it in was the state it was in when we left for Dad's house. At Home Depot, Dad got wood putty, maybe some paint thinner for wood flooring. This being done in order to make the floor look all fresh. It's currently 9:28 p.m. and it worked wonders. To do this, Dad would first have to sand and then vacuum the floors, presumably so that there wouldn't be any dust on the floors, since it can't the paint thinner obviously can't thin dust. And it seems to me like it would get in the way of the paint thinner doing its job. Or maybe the sanding and vacuuming is there as part of the process to make the floor look fresh in the end. Around noon, Grandma came over, Grandma Dearest, because that's my nickname she made for me. My nickname for Dad's mom. She came over to do a total of 3 things. She first came over to give Dad some homemade chicken and biscuits that she made for him. Homemade biscuits, and the chicken being homemade chicken gravy in a glass jar. And Dad made these here scrambled eggs with sausage, tomatoes, and peppers. My perspective of cooking from when I took culinary arts in high school, is that cooking is all about following a recipe. But you, of course, don't have to follow it word for word. You can adjust it to whatever suits you. Or if you just want to experiment. It's just like whenever I draw a copyrighted character like Eskina from Animal Crossing. The Egyptian-themed cat. Antro. I'm not really sure if she had a bikini that looked like mummy wrappings, but that's a liberty I decided to take. Same with giving the Joker those brass knuckle knives. I remember for one room that was pretty much the size of the largest of the rooms, in a sort of way. Maybe a little bigger than the one I'm in right now. So nothing terrible. One room, after Dad sanded it, I vacuumed it with the Craftsman vacuum, which is 6.5 horsepower according to its own labeling. It kind of looked like a monster. Oh, cylindrical in shape. Cylindrical in shape. Short, stubby, compared to that standard vacuum cleaner Dad brought over that I thought I would be using. I know it turned out I would be using the Craftsman vacuum cleaner. At first the plan was I would vacuum as Dad sanded, but then for some reason I think he arbitrarily decided to change it to he would sand the whole room first, and then I would vacuum the whole room. Did this for one room total before Dad decided he could do all of the ground level floors in the house by himself. It's not that big of a house, but it's a good place to live. It's a roof over your head, and more than good enough to make as a sort of art studio. Not the whole place, but just the portion that'll be given to me for now, which is the attic. And we got there around 11 in the morning. I vacuumed one room. Grandma came over. I Swiffered one room using a Swifter in order to wash the floor. Helped plug in the Craftsman vacuum at one point. Shook the sheets. In a pretty aggressive way to ensure I did a good job. For the larger bedsheet sized sheets, I would pretty much jump up and down while moving my arms up and down to the jumps. In order to shake the sheets. For the smaller sheets, I would just move my arms up and down. Kind of like how you might if you were dropping the checkered flag at the end of a race. Only I did that with both arms. It would be my best way of describing it. And then Grandma folded those sheets. And I did this at a time when the temperature was at around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And so at the end of that workout, I had a glass of water that I filled, a glass that I got from the cupboard, and filled using the sink. And before I shook the sheets, I went outside because for some reason while inside the house I started sneezing. Maybe it had something to do with the dust. My eyes burned a bit, but my eyes are fine now. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that at that point I hadn't slept since the afternoon of yesterday. So by 3 p.m. or so, I for some reason hadn't slept for a day or the better part of a day. Yet for some reason, due to the caffeine and me being on my phone, collecting the daily bonus for the egg collecting mobile app game 1 in a Trillion. For some reason, I had to get nearly 20,000 taps, including those tap pops, which give me a few thousand at this point, in order to collect the daily bonus. It's usually not that hard. And I completed a Duolingo lesson. Or maybe I didn't do that. If I completed a Duolingo lesson, during the point in which I just sat in chairs while Dad did nearly all the work. And I did the best I could. And before Grandma left. But after she left, I think around 12:30 today, Dad he didn't really call on me to do any of the work. In spite of that, though, he made good time, and we were all done by 3 p.m. If I completed any Duolingo lessons, it was 1 at the house, though I'm not entirely sure of that. Either way, once I got back here, I completed a few Duolingo lessons, just practice. In order to ensure that I wouldn't drop out of the Diamond Leagues while sleeping or anything like that. Though for the most part, I pretty much need not have worried about that. I think even now, this week's tournament hasn't quite ended yet. And I'm in like 13th place out of roughly 30 users of Duolingo. And to be in the demotion zone, you have to be within the last 5 places out of that group, pretty much, so I think I'm doing okay for the most part. Ugh, so close. To being able to activate the last research technology of the Elementals chapter. For some weird reason, it seems like on days where the daily exclusive is something that I want, which is a building, I don't seem to be able to make much of an effort to actually get that daily exclusive. Then again, my strategy when it comes to these sort of events is more geared on getting the grand prizes than the daily exclusives. If it were focused on getting the daily exclusives, it would be considerably different from what I do now. On days where the first offer isn't a building, it's either knowledge points or some kind of instant. Rerolling seems to just get you more of the same. And I nearly have the whole Dwarven Citadel set. It's just currently a bit messed up because I don't quite have the room, the space yet to complete it properly. Though that can change, I just have to place a city expansion here, and I should be able to do it. All I have to do is activate a research technology. That's going to be part of the Elementals chapter, which is the next one after Halflings. I fell asleep around 3:30 p.m. and then woke up around 8:30 or so. It's about 10 now. This is some plain coffee. Yeah, I don't really consume coffee for the caffeine. If I wanted caffeine in my daily schedule, I feel like that's kind of what energy drinks are for. Things like 5-Hour Energy and 12/16 fluid ounce aluminum cans with a total of 300 milligrams. Which is a considerable amount. Also, right before we got to Dad's house, either before or after going to Home Depot, Dad and I made a quick trip to a local Tim Hortons franchise. That's what a location, a restaurant for a major chain is called, a franchise. And people like you and me can open these franchises if we speak to essentially the franchise itself and have enough capital. Though I'm not sure that's the best way to be a business owner. Anyway, at this place, Dad and I got 2 sausage breakfast sandwiches that we only had as soon as we got to the house, which again was around 11:30 in the morning, and we finished around 3 p.m. Fell asleep around 3:30 p.m. or so, maybe 3:45. Woke up at 8:30 p.m. And then Dad made these scrambled eggs using a total of 4 eggs. I remember I for the most part remember today being a nice cool day for the dog days of summer, which is what August is referred to, at least in my mind. With the occasional gentle breeze. Oh no, pretty pleasant. Sunny, but with some clouds. To ensure it's not too hot. Kind of like that.